Hi everyone, thank you for joining. So we're going to go through the HP Indigo 100K today with Michal Shelley. So I remind you that if you have any question, you are very welcome to ask them inside the Q&A section. And if you meet any challenges or issue or remark, you're invited to send us to the a message on the chat. As you know, all the presentation and the recording of this webinar is going to be available on Boost inside the training folder. So also by the end of the webinar, we're going to send you two questions. So please pay attention to that and reply to it before the end of the webinar. We have basically we're going to have about 10 minutes by the end of the sessions where Michal is going to answer to your question. Thank you very much, guys.
Hi everyone, and of course you can put in questions in the chat box, and we will make sure we answer all these questions either during the session if possible or at the end of it. Okay, so we'll make sure you get all the questions answered. So hi everyone, hope you're all well and safe. I'm Michal and I'm the Marketing Product Manager for the Indigo 100K digital press. That's the new HP Indigo B2 platform, which will allow printers to produce and deliver tens of thousands of B2 sheets every day. And today I will walk you through some of the most exciting innovations that we developed for paper transport, image quality, serviceability, and more. Okay, we will try to dive into this technology that we are launching, and hope you find it interesting. Sorry. Okay. So the new HP Indigo 100K press helps us set a new standard for high volume production and automation. We're all very much familiar with the trends and drivers in the market and the fact that printers face longer and longer runs of shorter and shorter runs with more demanding turnaround times. And so the Indigo 100K will help these customers and prospects complement their existing fleet, either offset fleet or digital fleet, to help them keep up with the coming demand and continue growing profitably. The press is designed for printers with medium to high volume of short runs, wishing to reduce turnaround times, increase automation in printing, reduce plate, labor, and handling costs. In addition, it will allow and help customers to create new selling opportunities that digital printing affords. For example, variable data and personalization applications like Mosaic and Collage that you're all familiar with. That's a breakthrough press generating the highest digital B2 sheet throughput in the market with a true non-stop production. And that's pretty much the main theme around this new press, the non-stop production. And we will go through the various subsystems and components that we showcase today to prove the non-stop production essence. In addition, it offers compelling business case and economic benefits for our customers and prospects. Printers will be surprised what the performance of this workhorse machine does to their total cost of ownership. It will help them cut plate volume, reduce labor costs, save lots of paper waste, make ready paper waste, and not to mention the environmental impact in reducing aluminum consumption. So it will quickly contribute to printers' bottom line. It is easy to add, intuitive to use, and quick to contribute. We see the Indigo 100K as a complementary asset to printers' fleet. Okay, it will live in perfect coexistence with their existing offset presses and other digital presses, and will allow them to put the right job on the right device based on type of work and bottom line to maximize floor efficiencies end to end. The advantage of the Indigo 100K press is twofold. One is productivity, the other is image quality. On the productivity side, we're introducing a press with a process speed of 6,000 sheets per hour in enhanced productivity mode, the EPM print mode simplex, 3/0. In addition to that, we introduce 5-source feeding system, new delivery unit, a highly advanced and automated color measurement system with non-stop color calibration, and design for serviceability. Now, we massively invested in infrastructure to assure high productivity while reaching even new levels of image quality. Okay, and we will go over the image quality in detail later on. We introduce new levels of color consistency, accurate sheet-to-sheet registration, or how we usually call it image placement or front-to-front registration, flat tint smoothness, high quality of flat tint and composite grays, and the high definition imaging system will be available in 2021 as an option. So we can look at it as an aggregate list of features and capabilities that all lead to a non-stop printing, non-stop fitting, non-stop stacking, non-stop color calibration, highly productive, highly predictable and reliable platform due to the new paper transport and offset-like gripper-to-gripper paper fit technology that we will see in a bit. And we're offering, of course, the artificial intelligence-driven services with predictive capabilities to prevent any press failures upfront. So all these build-up will eventually help customers create the most productive and stable digital production cell in the market, generating hundreds of jobs per day, tens of thousands of B2 sheets per day, and over 2 million B2 sheets per month. Moving on to the specific technologies we're introducing with the Indigo 100K, and I'll start with a fitting system. So we added a 2-drawer unit to make a 5-source fitting system, allowing fast and seamless switchover between jobs and papers on the fly, boosting productivity and flexibility in running different types of substrates from different sources. The drawers are designed with ergonomic engineering in mind. This is to allow straightforward paper loading. We know that media is heavy, especially B2 format, especially to the lower drawers. So it was really important for us to address that and allow much smoother paper load onto the drawers. We also increased the opening of each drawer by 20 centimeters to allow the operators to use it more conveniently. We made sure that we use a robust chassis and reliable components and materials which are built to last, for example, nip rollers and idlers. We have 7 tornado feed heads to assure perfect feed for both light and heavy stocks. And we also have a smart sheet condition detection system. This helps detect bad sheets which are prone to jam. It sends them to trash and automatically feed the system with a new sheet. And we also designed for serviceability to assure uptime and reduce service costs. For example, we have new electronics for the feeder. It is designed with the industrial wiring and boards for fast and easy service handling. The two-door unit, the additional two-door units are offered as a feature option. Not everyone has the place for placing 5-source feeding system, but it is very, very beneficial for those who replace media frequently. And we know that there are customers who change and replace substrates in the drawers and the pile 15 times a shift, for example. Moving on to the new substrate input system, the system between the feeder and the engine. This is replacing input feed roller on our existing Series 4 presses. So this is an offset-like gripper-to-gripper paper feed, and it assures that sheets are transferred from the feeder to the grippers of the input system, to the grippers of the impression drum when they are well positioned and highly registered. Sheets are held and moved through the grippers. And this has 3 main benefits. By the way, I'm not sure how well you see the video that I'm playing right now. In any case, if it's not that clear or sharp or smooth, you have this presentation on Boost, and you'll be able to go and view it, peacefully later with all the relevant pieces running in this video. We also have a product video, which I'm sure you all saw. And these are snippets of this product video. Okay, so the main benefits of the gripper-to-gripper paper feed technology that we developed and installed into the system are the following. One is image quality. We are improving sheet-to-sheet registration, image placement, front to front. For the vast majority of cases, we see 0.1 millimeter. Our specs for the 100% of cases is 0.2 millimeters. Okay, so 0.2 millimeters if you want to compare to existing Series 4, where we have 0.4 millimeters. So this is twice as better the image placement that we have today on our 12,000. In addition, since sheets enter this system, the gripper-to-gripper system, through an arching mechanism, the sheets become more rigid, and so they are less susceptible to jams, skews, and wrinkles. So we see highly reliable transport of light media, light as low as 70 GSM. We haven't changed the specs of the media for thickness or weight compared to Series 4, by the way. We still support 70 GSM to 400 GSM and 75 microns to 450 microns. But the reliability of light stock's runnability improves. And third is the productivity. We're able to switch different paper sizes and paper thicknesses or weights on the fly. The system knows how to adjust for these changes automatically without adding any null cycles. So this adds to the overall productivity of the system. Moving on to the delivery unit, we developed a new stacking system with a new depositing unit. I took this video actually in slow motion just to show how the sheet are getting into this L-shaped depositing unit on the side. I don't know again how clearly you see it, but there is a tray, L-shaped kind of a tray that accumulates about 20 millimeter high papers onto it, and then it lays it on top of the printed stock underneath it accurately and reliably. The idea is to create perfect straight stacks so that when operators move these printed stacks to the next stage of the finishing area and load a fitting system of the cutting machine or folding machine or any other finishing device, they do it automatically without any manual intervention. So we're looking also at the entire line and how we boost efficiency, floor efficiencies across the line, and not only in the printing process itself. Now, in light of the non-stop production that I mentioned earlier, we also want to have a continuous stacking. Okay, today with our existing platform, when we want to unload a printed stack, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to open the door, unload a stack, and the printing process is paused. We want to allow continuous printing while unloading printed stacks. And for that, we developed the auto pallet replacement technology. This technology will be available in 2021 as a feature option. And I would like to show how it's going to work. We'll have a standby pallet underneath the bridge of the stacker. This standby pallet will engage whenever needed. It can be configured every job, every other job, every batch, whenever operator defines it. And then when it engages, it pushes out a printed stack outside the stacker. Elevator goes up, continuing collecting papers, which comes out from the engine. And so theoretically, operators can print, stack, unload, print, stack, unload, print, stack, unload until he or she decides to stop. Throughout the entire development process, we focused highly on automation to enable multi-press operation by a single operator, okay? And this is one of the examples derived from this automation perspective. We want to create what we call system unattendance features and capabilities to free up the operator to deal with other tasks and activities, or even run additional press which resides nearby. Okay, so our target is to have an operator managing more than just one Indigo 100K press. Moving on to the color measurement system. I'll just pause it for a bit because I want to say a few words about that. First, the new color measurement system is composed of the spectrophotometer that we are all familiar with. We just relocated the spectrophotometer from the exit part of the engine and put it on top of the stacking system. They are now make one big unit. And this is to create two parallel routes, one for calibration, the other for printing. If we take into consideration the calibration process that we are familiar with today, again, it blocks the paper transport and it takes time. We want to eliminate effectively this color calibration time. by creating two parallel routes. We're printing the current job while calibrating the next one, okay? And so this adds significantly to the overall productivity of the system. Now, in addition to the parallelism concept of having sheets calibrated in parallel to direct parallel to printing, we also have new capabilities for calibrations. We can now do non-stop color calibration. We have a color tracking sheet that goes every 1,500 impressions and checks and balances and checks the color state of the machine for any deviations, for any drifts. Based on the results of this color tracking sheet, the system triggers automatically full color calibration whenever needed. Sometimes it's not even needed. And this keeps the color consistent and accurate. The idea is also to increase the interval between two full color calibrations. Okay, we want to reduce to the minimum possible of calibrating and also save paper. So we have here two advantages. One is the productivity of doing things in parallel. The other is image quality with a stable color process across all prints. In addition, we're also developed new user interface for color calibration modes. Okay, customers can benefit from an intuitive and easy to use user interface. And we introduce three main color calibration modes. The recommended one, the default one, uses the color tracking sheet every 1,500 impressions, as I mentioned. But there are two more. There is one intense color calibration mode for, I would say, color critical work. And the color tracking sheet goes every 1,000 impressions in that case. And if customers want to engage with standard, mainstream type of work, they can go basic color calibration mode and use the familiar 10,000 impression calibration method. We also offer a custom mode for customers who want to add their own parameters and keep their own color calibration configuration as they prefer. Okay, so we offer here flexibility. It is based on customer preferences and color requirements per job. Here's a nice graph based on measurements done by R&D at the lab, based on a variety of runs. Here we can see a 4,500 B2 sheets simplex 4/0 run length, and we can see the stability of the color around 0.8, 0.9 delta E. So this new mechanism of non-stop color calibration helps us keep the color stable, even in longer runs. So as I mentioned earlier, we also invested in improving and getting new levels of image quality with this new platform. We combine offset quality with the familiar Indigo flexibility. We allow our customers to achieve print quality that matches their offset print output look and feel. We talked about the color stability, sheet to sheet, job to job, press to press, day to day, derived from the new color measurement system. flat tint smoothness. We're introducing a new bead and gauge. We'll talk about the supplies later on. We have a new bead. We have also a new bead and gauge. And this new system, new engage system, is designed to apply uniform pressure on the PEEP, on the photoconductor, to assure high quality of flat tints and uniform color across the sheet, corner to corner. So this will help with those challenging composite gray flat tint images that we oftentimes suffer from banding. And the accurate sheet-to-sheet registration that I mentioned earlier, this is derived from the new architecture of the gripper-to-gripper paper feed technology. I think I'll skip the LLP technology since you're all familiar with the thermal offset transfer and how images transferred from the plate to the blanket to the paper. Unless you want us to go over this, these are the familiar technology slides that we all know. And when going to a net new offset printers, it is inevitable to include in this slide deck and to share how the thermal offset transfer works with the Indigo digital technology. Okay, so these slides are here for you to use with new prospects. And also how it is compared to other technologies and what the advantage of using the Indigo direct content transfer compared to inkjet, for instance, and the various trade-offs that we see and overcome with our technology. Now, very important to also mention the workflow and how the new platform fits in intuitively into printers' print shop environment. We continue offering the comprehensive workflow and finishing solutions by HP Indigo partners, but it's really, really critical, especially when going to net new prospect, to better understand the work environment, the mode of operation, the workflow solutions that they have in place, and all the automation level required at the site. We need to address that upfront. Just as we do service site survey and site preparation for the installation of the press and the DFE and our components into the site, we must also investigate workflow. Are they using Prenect, Prenergy, Apogee, what have you? And then we need to prepare for that even before installing the press, so to make sure all loose ends are tied and we know how to fit in intuitively into their automation environment, because there will be customers that will be unwilling to operate the press if it's not connected to their environment seamlessly, and they cannot use the entire process end-to-end automatically. Okay, so that's a new process that we would like to implement these days with our workflow experts in the regions and the workflow experts in GBU, to make sure we have the right documentation and analysis enough time in advance we come and install the system. Okay, and this is also based on lessons learned in the recent beta we are now experiencing. And of course, on top of the press itself, we continue offering the complementary software tools. For example, the Auto Alert Agent that I'm sure all familiar with. The Optimizer, which is now becoming an integral part of the user interface, no longer a feature option that customers need to buy from us. They do not have to use the optimize button, but they can get the nice user interface, press user interface based on the optimizer UI. The artificial intelligence driven services that I mentioned earlier with the predictive press capabilities to avoid failure in advance and trigger any proactive prevention. And the new DFE 8.0 version to help us automate the entire flow pre-press with pre-press tools and optimize and boost the productivity overall. And if you have specific questions about DFE, we can address them at the end as well. New set of supplies, the next generation set of supplies, which comes with the new Indigo 100K platform. We have a new bead, robust and stable, highly resistant to vibrations, uniform ink flow, and this will help us boost image quality with nice uniform colors across the sheet. New blanket with a new release layer helps with the quick recovery from jam events, especially those who leave ink on blanket, and longer lifespan. And the new charge roller, that's going to be the ceramic charge roller, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the ceramic charge roller from series 3. Here we developed this ceramic roller. It's designed to last for years with high image quality and almost no wear. So very, very long lifespan. And we assure reliable charge roller PEEP operation. We avoid the direct contact between these two units to eliminate any image quality artifacts that we used to see in the past. Another new unit that we introduced with the Indigo 100K, excuse me, is the RAM ink dispersing unit, the new ecosystem for the ink cabinet, the new solid add system. RAM, like the RAM animal, the animal RAM, it stands for, the idea is that the ink is injected in very high pressure from the tube through hydraulic pipes to the ink tank, and from the ink tank, it flows all the way to the bead. We're using the same ink tubes as in series 4, the same ink concentration, 35 ink concentration. But right before the ink gets into the ink tank, it goes through a shearing nozzle, and then it dispersed into the right concentration into the ink tank, which is 3%. The idea, and you do not see the IDU, the ink mixing system, the mixers that we have today on series 4 between the ink, the tubes and the ink tank. We eliminated these mixers, and the idea behind this new technology is simplicity. Okay, we want to allow simplified injection of ink into the system. It's a simple design, reliable design, and it allows the operator to maintain the ink system much more easily and productively. And by the way, cleanliness is very important too. And since we do not have the IDU mixing units any longer, there are no spillages or leakages, and the system looks much cleaner. Also, the maintenance, it takes about 15 minutes a week to clean the ink tank with this new RAM ink dispersion technology. Okay. By the way, regarding maintenance as a whole, we reduced it dramatically from 20 hours a month to 10 hours a month with this new system and the new guidelines and procedures for maintenance routines which show out on Press UI. We arranged everything a bit differently, and we go system by system or subsystem by subsystem in an orderly manner to achieve greater efficiency and productivity in running maintenance routines. And saving this 10 hours of maintenance routine is very significant for our customers. Now we have, I would say, 10 more minutes, I think, to go over some of the door opener discussions around TCO. This is by no means a TCO analysis for you to run, on a job basket of your customers. This is just a teaser that helps better understand the economic benefits of this press. And then, of course, based on this initial discussion, you will need to get into a more in-depth discussion with actual job basket analysis. And for this, you will need to consult with the financial experts in your region. I don't know if Eric is on this call, but definitely you will need to go through a very methodic process in order to address, all of the economic benefits for every single prospect separately based on their attributes and mode of operation and fleet. So this is just to give you a sense of what we are aiming for. So we are talking about rewriting the rules of profitability through reducing make-ready time and paper waste, through reducing labor. We talked about multi-press operation, right? Having one operator manage two presses, two Indigo 100K presses, for instance. So this addresses and alleviates customers' pain, labor pain. Reduce plates volume, obviously. And time impact, deliver faster, offer same-day delivery, even maybe few hours delivery. Do not need to wait, for the perfect gang on your B1 offset machine when experiencing more and more shorter runs that could be really pain and a waste of paper as well if you do not fill the perfect gang. Save at the bindery. We want to look not just at the printing step, but also view the entire end-to-end process, including finishing steps as well in this process. So when talking about multi-page products, bound jobs, perfect bound, saddle stitch, multi-page work, we will look at the bindery as well. And I believe this is a sweet spot for this new machine because we reduce touch points. Sheets come out collated from our press. Customers do not need to go through a collation station, okay? And they get the first copy out the door much, much faster. So publishing on demand is definitely something that we see as a sweet spot for the Indigo 100K. And of course, reduce service costs through all the service features and capabilities that we installed into the system. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with this framework of transform, optimize, and augment. To me, it reminds me the jelly bean jar that we used back then in 2013 and later. So we first talk about transformation, transforming customers' business, net new prospects, for instance, okay, who face more and more shorter runs. And then we want to convert these short runs, these volumes of short runs to the Indigo 100K and run them more efficiently from time perspective and more economically, saving costs. Okay, so the exercise would be, taking an example of a job basket, running it, calculating the time savings on that basket, and trying to compare the Indigo 100K time to the offset line time, including the make ready and the printing time itself. And then comes the optimize layer. And the optimized layer talks about leveraging digital work from other technologies and benefit from the efficiency gain of placing multiple apps on a B2 format. And on the right hand, you see 6 books. This is actually a real life product that we took from one of our beta customers and printed it and even showed it in masterclass few weeks back. And this fits in 6 up on a B2, while on an A3, it fits only 1 up. So an X factor of 6. If we can leverage on this type of work, we can convert even more work from other digital technologies to the Indigo 100K. And then comes the augment, which is seizing new business opportunities and leveraging new products and applications like Mosaic and Collage and variable data. Okay, so this adds to the new revenue streams and profit streams. Here I took a specific sample of a product catalog, 120 pages, A4 format, 350 copies of this perfect bound catalog. And we calculated how long will it take to produce it on a B2 offset, a typical B2 offset press in the market versus the Indigo 100K. And we can see the time calculation for plate making, the press make ready, the press run time, and the benefit of running this specific type of work in 350 copies on Indigo 100K. Okay, we get the full work done on the Indigo 100K in 2.5, almost 3 hours versus 20 hours on the offset machine. So these are the jobs that we want to convert from offset to the 100K. We talk here about complementary assets. We do not want to replace offset. We want to coexist and to help printers to move the right jobs and put them on the right machine. This is another example. These are actually real life examples. This is a nice catalog by PressUp, our first beta site for the Indigo 100K in Italy. And that's a 500 copies of 160 pages, catalog 24 by 31 centimeters, 4 by 4, printed 4 colors. They're doing a lot of publishing on demand, catalogs, books, magazines. So on their B1 perfecting offset press, it requires 10 B1 signatures or sections, which make 80 B1 plates and 8 plates switchovers. On the Indigo 100K, you can set a job once, run it all through to achieve the 500 copies, which actually make 10,000 B2 digital sheets with no plates, no make-readies, no paper waste. And as described earlier, we also view the entire ecosystem with the finishing steps as well. And we see the benefit of the digital line versus the analog line from time perspective and the ability to get the first copy of this catalog out the door as fast as possible. And of course, the long runs of personalization applications. I call it burst capacities because we have many customers that face these burst capacities frequently. For example, large data-driven programs and campaigns with 24-hour turnaround time. Okay, we see it everywhere. So if we take this work, if the customer takes this work to their analog line, they need to allow for a hybrid solution, right? To apply the personalization applications, either an Indigo machine or an inkjet machine, but the printing process is cut into two. While on the Indigo 100K, you can commit to delivering 50,000 B2 sheets, double-sided, with all personalization applications and variable data applications applied in one go, and delivered within 24 hours. So that's another sweet spot for this new platform. And here, that's the small exercise that I mentioned earlier that I've run with our financial consultants, Eric Brammer and Michael Pletka from North America. I think it gives some taste as to how we want to view the advantage, the economical advantage of the Indigo 100K versus offset. Okay, we wanted to create some sort of a tower of production. And we selected some typical GCP, general commercial print work, like posters, flyers, postcards, saddle stitched brochures, calendars, perfect bound jobs. We looked at sites of customers to see, what are the main typical work they're doing, and the quantities and number of jobs they are running a day. So we put here this tower of production, okay, with the relevant quantities and numbers of for orders. And we ran the full analysis for time savings and cost savings. We ended up with 24 jobs a day. And we saw the impact on time savings when running this on Indigo 100K versus running it on an offset machine, including the make-ready time and the printing time. And you can see the differences between the two bars for offset and Indigo. Almost 40 hours to run this basket on the offset machine. Again, this is a B2, typical B2 offset machine with industry standards that we refer to. And on the Indigo 100K, it's about 12 hours. And we took, of course, into consideration the plates costs and the make-ready time and the ink costs and the click costs and paper costs, and try to run, as much reliable as possible and conservative even analysis for this tower of production. If you want to get into this in more depth, we can share with you the specific models and the Excel files that we have run. We see that we were able to show cost savings of about 18% when running this basket of 21 jobs a day on the Indigo 100K versus on the offset machine. And from paper waste perspective, we also see dramatic reduction in paper waste when running it digitally. We got 2% versus 43% offset paper waste. The efficiency ratio that you see at the bottom speaks about the ratio of make-ready time to printing time. So we can see the offset press efficiency is 5 hours make-ready for 1 hour printing versus 0.01 make-ready for 1 hours printing ratio on the Indigo 100K. And that's a bit complicated slide that I want to walk you through if we still have the time. This is the transform side of the business that we talked about earlier, and how we encourage our prospects to put the right job on the right device, to exploit the best of both worlds and drive more profitability. So we here look only at the overall offset press efficiency. Okay, and again, it is measured by make ready time in the green bar to run time, printing time, the purple bar. I hope you see my colors the same way I see it. So if we look at the first bar, at the top bar, we see 54% to 46% efficiency ratio. This is the offset press when we look at it prior to any conversion at all. 54% of the time make ready to 46% time running the press. If we look only at the short run jobs of the basket on this offset machine, we see a worse ratio, obviously, because these are short runs. You have more make readies, more plates, sets, switchovers. And here we see 73% make ready hours versus 27% running hours. Okay. And then comes the Indigo 100K into play. And we shift the short runs to the Indigo 100K, run it more efficiently and economically digitally. What we do here is free capacity on the offset press, and that's a good thing. We also look at how we free capacity on offset machines that customers have on site. Here we released 46% of the hours on the offset press. And moving to the bottom bar, we see new efficiency of the offset press itself of 37% make ready hours versus 63% running time. So we actually doubled the efficiency of the offset press, and we released 46% of offset press hours to get more jobs that are more suitable, the really longer runs for the analog machine. Okay, so that's basically the enjoy the best of both worlds, perfect harmony and coexistence of both digital and analog technology side by side, allowing the customers to boost overall capacity of their entire fleet and grow profitably. So I think that these tools will help you, start a conversation with your customers, and later on, get into a more in-depth discussion based on the specific job basket of the customer, and run a full TCO analysis using the tools and the models that we create, actually the financial experts create for you. Okay, so I encourage you to continue this conversation, the TCO conversation with Eric and Michael to get a better feel for how we view this and how we implement it for, especially for net new prospects, but also for existing customers who have lots of offset fleet on site. I think we will stop here, although I have more slides. Maybe I'll show just this. This is Vincenzo Cirimele from PressUp, the owner of PressUp. As I mentioned, they are the first beta site for the Indigo 100K in Italy, and that's what he wrote to us. And as you can see, I talked about publishing on demand. That's exactly what they are focusing on their day-to-day work. We currently have 5 beta sites, just finished another installation of the 6th one in the Netherlands. And we are adding 2 more beta sites, hopefully sooner rather than later. One in Germany and one in the States. Currently, we have 2 beta sites in Italy, 2 in Germany, and 1 in the States. You have more slides here around serviceability. I will not get into them right now because I think we're running out of time.
Yes, there are also several questions in the Q&A section.
Okay, so just to know that we have a set of service slides here that you can go over later. I believe that you are familiar with most of it, but if you have more questions later on when you review this presentation, privately, peacefully, feel free to share with us additional questions. So, okay, I see that our...
Michal?
Yes?
As I've worked on the Q&A, maybe I can summarize some of the questions that I feel were not fully answered.
Perfect.
There were lots of questions
well,
about...
One second. Nir Massenson is speaking. Nir is the Chief Technology responsible for print quality roadmap in the company. And he helped me during this session to address all of your questions while I was presenting. So go ahead, Nir.
So one of the questions that was repeating is about the additional space required for the APR, for the automatic pallet replacement. And can you give a specific number about what is the additional space required for it?
Nir, I couldn't hear you, unfortunately. Can you repeat?
Okay, yes. One of the questions was regarding the space required for the automatic pallet replacement. Did you hear me?
Oh, I see. Yeah, now I hear you. Yeah.
So there was estimation that it's somewhat less than 1 meter, but if you have a more accurate number, it would help.
Okay, I see. So actually, we're still working on that because of the, all the safety concerns. That's why this option is released in 2021. We need to finalize how far from the edge of the proof tray this needs to reach. So currently we have around 20-30 centimeters beyond the proof tray, but I will need, once we finalize the design, we will need to come back with an accurate answer on that. Initially, we thought we will, have the exact same space that resides underneath the edge of the proof tray. Apparently, we will need to allow for additional 20 or 30 centimeters, all depends on safety regulations. So we will need to come back with an answer on that.
Okay, good. Another question that was repeated was about the smart planner calculation compared to the offset, and whether we can have a recommended break-even point versus offset with the 100K.
Okay, so there is no one break-even point, obviously, and I would not use break-even, I would use crossover point. Break-even point stands for something else. So crossover point is obviously varies from one customer to the other, really based on the mix and blend of work customers use, mode of operation, and specific models of the offset fleet, etc. I suggest that, yes, we have Smart Planner and we have other tools, and I know Eric Brammer developed new tools. I suggest that these questions will be addressed by Eric Brammer, and I don't know if Eric hears me and if he is on the line, but we definitely need to convey the message of the new tools that Eric developed for the sales force to use with any analysis with net new accounts and offset printers and existing print customers to calculate the specific crossover points based on the work that they are running, the level. I mean, how high the volume of their short runs versus the long runs. So lots of parameters needs to be taken into account when calculating crossover. There's no one number, obviously.
Okay. Another question was about which of the features that we have are upgradable for the 12,000, because some people said that they are now encouraging people to buy 12,000, and we're asking about that.
Okay, so actually, some of the components that I mentioned, the feeding system. Oh, we're comparing to 12,000. Sorry.
Right.
So for the 12,000 is not going to be upgradable with the major subsystems that I mentioned during this presentation. The Indigo 15K, the next generation 12,000, will include some of the components, for example, the new feeder, the ink cabinet, the supplies, some of the supplies, not all of them, some of them, the bead and the blanket will roll over to the 15,000 press as well. I'm not sure these supplies will roll over to the 12,000 as well. I'll need to check, but the main subsystems and technologies that I mentioned during the presentation are not going to be upgradable on the Indigo 12,000.
Okay. There was also a question whether the 100K presses that we will sell at VR, whether they will be later upgradable for the HD.
So obviously, if customers would like to use HD, those customers will purchase the high definition imaging system option, and they will definitely be upgradable to the new HD writing height system.
Like it was for the, like it is for the 12,000.
Exactly.
Yeah. There was also a question about the amount of time with the APR, how many sheets are being collected by the
tray?
By the tray, yeah, before we
okay,
before
so two comments on that.
And more, perhaps it should be in time, not in a number of sheets, obviously, because it depends on the print mode.
I remember 20 millimeter height. So it really depends on the thickness of the substrates that you are using. Yeah. There is a 20 millimeter height on top of the proof tray. But I want to comment on that because I think this leads to the next question. If when we unload through the APR, auto pallet replacement system, a pallet, if the tray continues collecting papers, and the answer unfortunately is no, because then we will be able to continue, printing really continuously. Here we need to allow for approximately 20 seconds for the elevator to go up and then continue collecting the papers. I think that's what that was in the mind of whoever asked that. But again, it's 20 seconds versus 2 or 3 minutes. That's a lot of time, okay? Also, customers will be able to continue printing to the proof tray if they're willing to be super efficient, and then, take the printed sheets from the proof tray and put it on top of the printed stack, which resides already outside the stacker.
Okay, I think these are the main questions that remained open, but obviously we would be happy to hear if you feel that other questions were not answered or if you have additional ones.
I see a question that is not answered in the panel, that is, how are we linking to Prinergy or Prinex that is different from today?
Okay, so I'm not sure it's significantly different. However, we know, I mean, we experienced some progress in other workflow solutions by, other vendors like the Prenect, by Heidelberg, Prinergy, Apogee. Things continue developing over there, and we should be in continuous contact with the development on their side, so we adapt immediately. and not, realize that we need to start developing software tools and capabilities on our side, on the DFE side, for instance, in order to complement or in order to fit in smoothly into existing environment that already exists. So in that sense, what we do differently is we survey and we try to learn upfront what are the workflow systems that are at the site if it's a net new prospect and we're unfamiliar with what systems they are using, okay? So this is something I'm not sure we did in the past. I'm not sure how soon we did that in the past, but now we definitely want to focus on that, especially when going to offset printers who do not have Indigo technology in place. And I think that we need to have the workflow experts, some sort of a board of workflow experts that address all these processes and all these questions before we get to the installation phase. Okay, so if you have more questions on that, please raise them. I will engage Gershon as well, because I'm working with Gershon on that. And of course the DFE guys and the workflow experts in the region. I see 7 questions on the chat. I believe we are able to address them even after this call. Gael?
Some questions about site preparation, how it differs from the Series 4, about the pressure on the floor, things like that.
Okay, so what I suggest is the service team, the WWTS guys, put together a site preparation document. Christina, I suggest that you share with the relevant people this site prep doc. I'll send you the most recent version that we have, and people can just go through this document and better educate themselves on the new requirements and guidelines we provide for readying the site for this new press. Christina, any more questions on your side? Any other participants who want to raise questions? And I see here questions about the Excel files. So yes, I'll speak to Eric because I want things to be consolidated through him as the expert for the financial analysis. And definitely we can share the Excel files for that as well.
Thank you very much, Michal. We are running a little bit out of time, so I think that we're going to close the webinar here. But,
one more comment, Gail, before we close. Everyone, you have the presentation on Boost. You have product videos on Boost. I also wrote a product brochure that is already published as well. Please go over all of these materials. I also prepared for you a document with the Q&A. And Christina, I suggest that you share the Q&A document that I shared with you. And any additional requirements, any additional documents, questions, materials that you need, please raise with Christina and we will address. Okay, everyone, thank you. Thank you for your time. Stay safe and healthy, and good luck over there. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Gael.
Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you very much, Michal. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining.
Bye.